LeBron buzz today. You probably heard something about this regarding his comments to ESPN last night as the King took aim at Charles Barkley's most recent criticism. Evidently, the King has just had enough. He called Chuck a, quote, hater. What makes what he says credible, LeBron asked. Because he's on TV? I'm not going to let him disrespect my legacy like that. I'm not the one who threw somebody through a window. I never spit on a kid. I never had unpaid debt in Las Vegas. I never said I'm not a role model. Ooh. I'm tired of biting my tongue. There's a new sheriff in town, end quote. Charles had his rebuttal on the matter earlier today.
Well, I think when you don't like the message, you just kill the messenger. And that still does, some of those things he said about me are correct. That still does not make my message incorrect. I thought he was really whiny and complaining the last couple of weeks, talking about he got no help. I'm like, dude, you just won the championship. And it's the middle of the season, and you're just bashing your teammates. I think that wasn't right. You keep saying, we're not in it, we're not that good. I'm like, dude, y'all are the reigning defending NBA champs. And, I appreciate Tristan Thompson actually having the stones to say something, but he's the only one. The rest of them are just so intimidated. I mean, and anybody in that circle, they're so intimidated, but I'm not intimidated at all. I've said the guy is the best player in the world. I've said he's a wonderful guy. I'm not sure how that constitutes hating just because I say he's coming out bashing his teammates every day, and he's got Kevin Love and Kyrie Irving, they're defending champions. I thought it was inappropriate and for him to talk about it every single day about how bad his team was. And I think that's a fair criticism.
There's a lot to digest there. First of all, let me walk back just a little bit. Chuck referenced Tristan Thompson, who this week said, I earned my money. There was the idea that because he's a Rich Paul guy and LeBron's a Rich Paul guy, that somehow it was LeBron who got Tristan Thompson his big deal in Cleveland. He struck back at that a little bit. Having said all that, Charles has said repeatedly he's the best player in the world. He's also criticized him for a bunch of stuff. LeBron, I can see his point as well, because he has been scrutinized and criticized maybe like no player in the history of the NBA. What did you make of him lashing out last night and finally saying enough's enough?
Well, I think you got to talk in full context now, because somebody could take a soundbite and
sure.
take it, because Chuck said, he's the best player. So in my opinion, I still think, it's Jordan, Kareem, and then there's a litany of players. But no player has ever had as much pressure with a $100 million contract before a basketball contract and come on the floor, and that's LeBron James. He's handled the pressure better than anyone in a time where there's more media attention. He's done things for players, he's done things for future generations, as far as showing them how to bring guys up, let them be educated, let them help you in your business, and so I think all that's great. And I think Chuck had a point as well. Not about necessarily being whiny, that's just how he's describing it, but I think for a lot of guys, we wish we could have played with another Hall of Famer. I think when you look at the best teams in the history, this is why the championship argument is always funny to me. If you don't have two Hall of Famers and a Hall of Fame coach, or three Hall of Famers, you may not have won in the last 30 plus years.
Doesn't happen very often.
It doesn't happen. So when we start putting the me, the I's in it, it just becomes funny in this team sport. But I see what Charles was saying. He was saying, you're the best player. Your team may not be as good, but you're the best player. Take them to win that championships. Actually, I thought the Golden State was still a better team last year. I think they're in the same position as they were last year with Golden State. So I get LeBron having fatigue of the media, but with this one with Chuck, it was almost like some of the nicest things Chuck has ever said. Like he's a great player. So I really didn't get that. I look at that as sometimes during the season I want to be frustrated. Sometimes during the season I'll do things to make enemies or to put the flashlight back on me, the spotlight back on me. Oh, this is what you guys want? Watch what I do now. Because LeBron has to, if you're a fan, LeBron has to play some great ball now, because he just talked this stuff. So, I really don't understand the beef, but I'm glad that where we are, I think LeBron's going to play some great ball, and I think Chuck definitely had some 100% points there.
And frustration's at the heart of all this. LeBron James is coming off his own personal first losing month in a full month since 2006. Right. He hasn't experienced this in a while. What do you expect now? What's next with the new sheriff in town?
Well, I think, and first of all, I agree with what Chris was saying. I think Charles was right to say that he was whining about the complaining. I would also say that the way LeBron handled it, I didn't like the personal attack, but what he also was trying to do is to get the focus off how bad they played and get his guys to rally around him. Because to your point now, we're not talking about how bad they've been. We're talking about what they're going to do moving forward and what he's going to do. And for a group that's struggling and searching, sometimes that's the best thing that you can have happen. So in some respects, while he attacked them personally, I think the underlying message for LeBron and the Cavs is this could be that rallying cry to kind of get things headed back in the right direction. Because they've been a bad basketball team for the last month. And I see why he's frustrated, because they really have been a bad basketball team.
I will say this. I don't like the Tristan Thompson comment because
You don't like Tristan's comment, or?
I don't like Tristan's comment because if I understand correctly, a reporter went to Tristan and said, hey, LeBron said this. I never remember.
And I don't know how that played out.
But I'm
just
just
know what he
saying,
said.
I never remember hearing LeBron say Tristan's name, right?
Right.
Okay, so in the streets and at home, whatever, the way to get in between people's family is with rumors or to say, you know what, Matt, Greg is cool, man, but when he gets here tomorrow, and to me, him even addressing, I earn my money, we know you earn your money.
Yeah.
So you even addressing that, honoring that statement, if I'm your boy LeBron, I'm like, really? You even gonna entertain that when you know I got you this money? Like, I mean, yeah, you earned it. You earned it, but LeBron put his reputation on the line. Remember, he was holding out and things like that, so little things like that lets me see more where the chemistry is broken than LeBron. He's he keeps the chemistry. He's the main glue guy. But when you have other guys like this that only won a championship because they played with LeBron, like so when you go, I make my money and things like it to me, it sounds like you're forgetting where your bread is buttered. And it's not even that important enough of a statement for you to make that statement. So little things like that in the locker room I don't like.
Well, that is a fascinating dynamic, by the way, with Thompson and J.R. Smith, both represented by Rich Paul, who is LeBron's agent and close friend for a long, long time. And there's nothing like that in the NBA.
No.
Right or wrong.
No, there's situations where guys, because power agents have multiple players.
Power agents,
and they have them on the same team. That does happen. And I've seen scenarios where a powerful agent, you got a rookie that's coming up, and you also represent the star on the team. And so you're going to have leverage to get your young guy what you want to get him. I mean, that's always.
That's David Foxhole. What's up, David? That's my man. That's his whole thing.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was thinking.
Using his clients and doing a great job at it.
That stuff happens all the time. That does. And quite frankly, it made sense, right? Because they won a championship.
It did.
So they needed a guy.